Hello everybody and welcome back to another video here on the channel. This is something we've been waiting for all year since we did this last year. It is finally time for our top 12 albums of 2025. This is something that Chris and I have been doing together now for 11 years. I have been making my list for the last 16 years, I believe since 2010 was the first list I did. And this is something we put a lot of effort into on the channel. So basically anytime we're listening to an album that came out in the current year, in this case, obviously 2025, all year, when we listened to something that came out, we were thinking about our lists and this video in particular. Would this live up to our expectations? Would this make the list at the end of the year? Although I will have to say, for me personally, and I think for you, Chris, too, for me personally specifically, this is the least prepared for one of these videos that I think that I have ever been.
Yes.
And we have had in the past problems and issues and things. And Chris, there have been a number of years where you didn't even have like 12 albums that you loved, I think. And so you've had to put albums on. But that's fine. It still means it was something that came across got your attention throughout the year. And so for me this year, I had a huge chunk of time where I kind of stopped listening to music in the middle of the year. When I was in the hospital. And then I more so this year than any other year, I felt this immense pressure to try to listen to as many albums as I could. And I always sort of start that process in October, sort of the end of October. And so then all of November and all of December, I have not allowed myself to listen to anything other than albums that came out in 2025. And let me tell you, the second we are done with these videos, I have like 50 albums from years bygone that I'm so excited to listen to. And I won't listen to anything from 2025 for probably several years. So it's been really interesting. And I've been really cramming so much more over the last 2 months than I have any other year, and it's really impacted my list. I added a lot of things from November through, and one album even that just came out here in December is on my list, and so I tried as hard as I could, but I know I didn't listen to everything. And one of the things we usually do at the beginning of these videos every year is we go through kind of our Spotify Wrapped things and kind of talk about our year overall. And for me, specifically this year, my Spotify Wrapped was completely screwed up because when we were in the hospital, I started listening to just sort of like acoustic guitar and piano music and just chill music to just help me try to fall asleep and to just have kind of atmosphere like in our hospital room. And because of that and the amount of hours that we spent listening to stuff like that, my favorite artists were all like dudes that make 2-minute long piano songs, or, my favorite album was like some guy who played the acoustic guitar, and I happened to listen to several of his songs on some playlist, right? Like I never searched out albums of these things. Nothing on my list is reflective of my time this year listening to music like that or anything like that. And so my Spotify Wrapped was completely screwed up. But the only number from it that I think I can take from it and actually means something is that I listened to, I think it was 475, I'll just round, 475 albums this year. Wow. And that was at the beginning of December, and I've listened to a lot more since then. Probably I would say at least 30 or so since then. And just to let everybody know, we're recording this on the 29th of December. So we waited till quite a bit at the end of the year this year to do this, which I think is fine. It doesn't matter if we don't have to get our video out or anything like that in the year that we're doing, because that's how list videos work. So yeah, I don't know, Chris, how did you feel about this year overall? And then what did your Spotify Wrapped or any sort of Wrapped thing, and that includes your YouTube Wrapped, whatever, did anything kind of tell you something you were surprised about?
My Spotify Wrapped was a really grim state of affairs.
Yeah.
It told me, and it's so funny because like no matter what, it has to congratulate you.
Yeah.
And so I don't remember some of the numbers were a little bit more surprising than others, but it was like, you listen to, music for blank, blank, blank number of hours. That's 3 whole days. And I was like, that's vile. That's really disgusting. That's so low. And like, I still have this sort of very imperfect system of like using YouTube Music to listen to most of the music I listen to while I'm doing stuff, like working and stuff, because I listen to a lot of game soundtracks and things like that. And I don't want it clogging up my feed in terms of stuff like this.
Yep, 1,000,000%.
And so, but then because of, ease and convenience, I will occasionally, more than I'd like, end up listening to whatever's new just on there anyway, because it still knows what I like. And it's like, here's a new thing. And it's like, so I'll listen to it there. But I at least try to go into Spotify when I find something new and then add that new thing to my top 12 contenders playlist that I make every year in the beginning of the year.
Mm-hmm.
But the listening numbers via Spotify are pretty screwed up. So they're all very low and sad. And I also have not listened to, every year I complain about how I haven't listened to music much, and it seems to get worse every year. I did end up with like 16 or 17 new albums for today. Okay. So I did get to weed a few out, and I was really surprised by that.
Did you find yourself disappointed with stuff that came out this year that you were looking forward to? Because I feel like we talk about that every year. All the stuff I'm most looking forward to never ends up on my list. Sometimes it does, and that's really great. But a lot of the times it doesn't. It ends up on my disappointing list instead.
Yeah, I would say that all but one. I had some stuff I had a couple of things that were big, like I didn't know what to expect, and it was a huge surprise. Mm-hmm. But of the things that I knew about that I was looking forward to, anybody who's been around a while isn't putting out their best stuff.
Yeah.
And now it's time to find bands that hit the same way that are new, and I'm not sure what the reality is of finding that. But I don't know, like I always want media to keep surprising me, keep bringing me new things. Like I haven't had a new favorite movie since 2013. But I also don't consume a lot of movies anymore. That used to be my, it was music and movies, hands down. And now it's barely music and video games all the time, and barely movies.
It's interesting to point out all of that stuff and just how we've changed from year to year. If you listen to us at the beginning of these videos where we talk about stuff like this, it is always really interesting and different. I was going to do this, and I was curious. Let me look at my list. I have a lot of my stuff this year on my phone instead of in a dock. I do have my dock, and I have that open as well. But in terms of my list, of the 12 albums on my list, we did reactions, or I did a reaction myself to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So half of the albums I did reactions to and the other half didn't, because for the last few years, one of the things I find myself wondering is, does doing reactions impact my initial impression of an album enough that I enjoy albums that we don't do reactions to more than the ones that we do? Mm-hmm. And I don't think that's the case. In terms of new stuff, of my 12 albums this year, 6 of them are bands/artists that I just discovered this year. So there's 50% are brand new discoveries, first album from this band for me, whether it's their first album ever or not. Some of them it is debut album. And then 6 of them are albums that I was already familiar with. However, of those albums, 3 of them have never had an album on my list before. And then I believe that leaves another 3 that have been on my list before. Stuff that I was excited about the year it came out initially. And the other 3 are bands that I've known about. Maybe I just discovered them over the last few years, but I knew about them before this year at least. So I'm happy to say that my discovery of new music is still something that gets me. I say it all the time in our videos, but I really do believe that like the greatest album of all time is being made right now as we're having this conversation. And I still think that that's true. Let me take a drink.
I've got 4 on my list. I've got 4 on my list that are new to the list, that have never been on the list before. Interesting.
Now, do you know how many did we do reactions to?
I think of those 4, one.
Okay.
But of my total amount, I think we did reactions to 4 of these albums on the total.
Because I was going to say we did reactions to 2 bands that I know are very important and special to, 3 actually bands that are special to you. Mm-hmm. And so I'm curious where those albums will rank on your list if they do at all. One of those albums that we did a reaction to. I don't want to say anything because I don't want to give anything away. I was not super close to making it on my list, but it was one of those albums that the more I listened to it throughout the year, I was like, dang it, this is so good. And I can still think of some of the songs in my head, even though it didn't make my list.
I think I know which one that is, and I hope that I'm right.
I think you would be surprised which one it is, maybe. But
okay.
I'm assuming we'll get to talk about it later on. So I have to say a couple things here before we get into our actual list. One thing we're going to do, everybody, if you're still here, thank you for so much, 20 minutes into the video. We're going to do something different this time. We are going to actually listen to a song from every one of the albums. So first thing I have to say about that is, if one of our artists causes problems copyright-wise, I'm just cutting it from the video. I'm not cutting the content. Yeah, I'm not cutting the I'm not cutting the content from the video or us talking about the song. But I just am going to, make it so that there's no chance that we can have issues with that. So if you listen to a big section of silence, when you can hear we're obviously listening to something, that is why that happened. And I won't know that, unfortunately, until I get done editing the whole video, put all the effort into it, and then upload it to YouTube. Then I'll have to go back into the video, re-render it, take another 12, 13 hours or whatever. I assume this is going to be a big headache for me. But when we've done videos like this before on the channel where we listen to like one song from multiple albums, it hasn't caused a lot of issues. And I haven't been having a lot of issues, especially this year on the channel at all. There are very few artists who anymore don't allow you to use their music on YouTube and stuff. But as I say at the beginning of all of our videos, all the ad revenue from every video we upload goes to the artists whose songs are in this. So if right now all we have is a little Ko-Fi page that I have, I'll have the link for that in the description of this video. But if you do want to donate to what our channel here, and you want us to be able to keep doing what we're doing for years to come, we can keep doing this over the next few years, think about donating to us using our Ko-Fi page. Eventually, next year, one of my big priorities is going to be setting up a Patreon so that if people want to support us monthly, they can. But for now, we have just like a one-time donation Ko-Fi page, if anyone, or Ko-Fi. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. Might actually just be pronounced.
I think it's supposed to be pronounced coffee.
I think you're probably right. I heard that the other day because it's very similar to the Buy Me a Coffee thing. So maybe I need to say coffee. Maybe when I say Ko-Fi, nobody knows what the hell I'm talking about. So with the coffee thing, it's Ko-Fi. But you can, the link's in the description. You guys can check that out if you want to. No big deal. No pressure. So that's how we're going to do this. We're going to go my album, Chris's album, my album, Chris's album. I believe we're going to split this into 2 videos, so we'll see what ends up happening with that. So that's all that stuff sort of out of the way. I also do want to take this time here at the very end of the year. If you're someone that just watches a few of our videos throughout the year, or you just watch these videos, which would be really cool if you did that, but you should check out our other stuff too. I want to thank everybody so much for supporting the channel and everything over this year through my cancer battle and all of that stuff. And I'm not going to talk about it for very long. I just want to thank everybody. And the latest update we have is that I have no cancer left in me. My cancer has basically been cured. And it's just living with the side effects and anything else. And then also having a immune system that has been started over from scratch. So if I get a little cold or something, it can be much worse than the average person. So I have to slowly over time build up all the immunities that I had before. And I have to.
That's interesting, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like I'm like a baby now. I have to go back.
You're like a freshborn baby, yeah.
Yeah, I have to get all of my shots, all of my all that stuff, all the.
Oh wow, that's really interesting.
What do they call those? The
vaccines and stuff?
Yeah, the vaccines and stuff. I have to do all that stuff. All the stuff that you have to do when you're a little kid and stuff. I have to do all of those things. And so I'll have like a 10, 15 year plan of things that I have to get reintroduced to.
Cool. There's definitely, nobody thinks about that. That's a really interesting
it really is.
After effect.
And then the last thing I want to say is just, I said it all October, but if you're someone that has anyone in your life that's been affected by cancer at all, I would highly recommend just looking into what it is to become a donor. Like, I know specifically for my type of cancer and my donor, I don't know who that person was, but I know it was very minimally invasive for them. They didn't have to do very much. The process they went through is basically just slightly more complicated than just donating blood at like a blood, like whatever they call blood raffle, whatever they call those things.
Blood drive?
Blood drive. Yeah, not a blood raffle.
I love a blood raffle.
We're raffling off blood today.
You win 40 bags.
The one vampire in the audience is like, yes, this is my day.
The time of his life.
But anyway, it was
Finally.
super minimally invasive. It's not much more complicated than that. Usually only takes 1 day, and you just have to take some medicine a few days beforehand to sort of like prep your body and for it and everything. Super easy. So if anyone wants to learn more about that, I highly recommend checking it out. You can just go to cancer.gov. If you're in the US, it'll send you to the National Cancer Institute. And you can also go to the website, the official website for whatever huge hospital is close to you. And I guarantee they'll have a section on their website about how you can help, whether it's becoming a donor or it's just helping however you can. I highly recommend everyone look into that.
Cool.
So one other thing we like to do at the beginning of these videos, this is one of my favorite parts, where we go through and we talk about our lists of albums that were really great this year, but that didn't make it into sort of our honorable mentions list, or the way I think of it as the contenders for the top 12 albums of the year. Usually I have around 20 or so that are contenders that I have to listen to a bunch. And then this is my list of albums that were really good, but that just didn't quite make it to that list of contenders. So I'm going to go through and read them really quickly. And Chris, if you notice anything interesting, you can say it or you can keep it to yourself. Doesn't matter. So the list of albums for this year is Tomoyasu Hotai, The Defect, Lord of the Lost, Chris Harms, Reb Fountain, Spirit Box, VNV Nation, Franz Ferdinand, Partina, Damien Marhulitz, Sarah, Esoterica, St. Paul and the Broken Bones, The Midnight, Orbit Culture, Star Sailor, The Rasmus, Alison Goldfrapp, Grace Potter, Car Park North, Mayday, Atomisti, Health, Arch Enemy, ZZ Ward, Frog, and then an electronic band called Fictional. So a lot of stuff there. And you may notice that I said Lord of the Lost twice. That is because Lord of the Lost released 2 albums this year. They're both really great.
Neither of them were good.
No, they're both good, but they're the first 2 albums of a trilogy. So I'm like, when they release the whole trilogy, if they release it as a whole set, maybe next year, I might just include all 3 of those albums as one trilogy, even though they weren't released. But so anyway, yeah.
I recognize most of those, so that's cool.
Yeah, that is good. And some of them were very surprising to me. Like the Franz Ferdinand has never been a band that I cared about really at all, other than the one song that everybody liked, Take Me Out or whatever it was called. But this year, that Franz Ferdinand album was produced really interestingly and differently. And I really enjoyed it. And for quite a while throughout the year, again, I had a big chunk in the middle of the year where I didn't listen to much music because I was in the hospital. But for that whole chunk of time, I thought that their album was going to be on my list.
Wow.
And I could spend forever talking about all of these albums and things that, whatever. But it was a great year. And some of the things that did disappoint me, we'll talk about that in the next video, stuff that was disappointing to us. I'm going to also take this moment to mention my honorable mentions, the albums that came close for me. So these are the bands that I've been listening to for the last month to try to make my list, but they didn't quite make it. And this is going to tell you maybe a couple of things, Chris. Okay, so these are albums that are not on my top 12, okay?
Yes.
The Ruin Brothers, Galactic, White Lies. That's my number 13 for the year. I tried so hard to fit that album on my list, and I couldn't make it. The Defect, which I think I mentioned earlier, it should have been in this list. A progressive metal band called ILO. Really great album, just couldn't make it. The Chilean-Mexican artist Mon Laferte. Really love that album. Awesome. The biggest surprise of the year to me musically, Portugal the Man, a band I do not care about at all.
Yeah.
Their album, the best produced thing I heard all year. Absolutely insane album, phenomenal. And I tried, but couldn't make it on list. Then Tatsuro, Japanese artist, and then a band that I just discovered this year called Vildhjarta. And if you know about Vildhjarta, then you know. Good for you. You're ahead of me. So, the last thing I want to say before I'll send it over to you, Chris, and you can sort of sum up your things that didn't make it, your whatever, and then we'll get into the list. For me, a big thing this year was metal. I think that for the first time ever, maybe I would be able to come up with a list of my top 12 favorite metal albums from the year.
Wow.
And I've never done that before. My list is always incredibly varied. But this year I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Half of the albums are metal, which is
on the current top 12.
Yes. Which when we get to them, you'll be like, which of the albums was metal? Because you'll be like, none of this crap is metal.
I was just thinking when you said that, I was like, but what's metal? You know?
Yeah, no. Everybody watching, I'll just say right now, Sleep Token, not on my list. 21 Pilots, not a metal band, but just to let all the 21 Pilots fans that may be watching this for the first time, all this stuff, 21 Pilots not on the list either. So don't be looking for that, not to disappoint anybody. But metal, I think, I'm going to say this. I've been thinking about this for the last month, Chris. I think we've reached the peak of metal. I don't think that from here metal can get any better than it is. And I'm not saying that there won't be like phenomenal better albums released, but I think in terms of what metal can do while still being metal, I think we have reached the zenith, right? I think we have reached the height of it, because some of the albums I heard this year were just like mind-blowingly, mind-altering, just insane. So that's one thing. I think we're at a very, if not of all time, we're definitely at a high peak of metal, I think. Yeah. And that kind of flies in the face of what I was saying last year, where last year I was like, man, these female-fronted metal bands are like a dime a dozen, and all of them are the exact same and all this stuff. That's what I was saying last year. This year I have a slightly different tune. We'll get to that when we get into our list. The other thing I have to say, and I mentioned this to you earlier in the year, and I really think that it's true. I heard 3 albums this year, 2 of which are on my list, 1 that did not make it. 3 albums this year that, to me, I've never in my life experienced music that I heard it and I thought, I have no reference for this. This is so futuristic. This is like music from the future. This is like so far beyond what I can, not that I can't grasp it, but just like so far beyond what I would think people would reasonably do to compile an album together. I heard 3 albums this year that like were so futuristic sounding to me and so shocking that I just was giddy when I was listening to these albums. And it's still right now today, this morning, I was listening to 2 of them, the 2 that made it on my list. And I was like, how is this even a thing? And the reason I bring that up is because we are on the cusp of music changing forever, and in a very bad way. I think this is the last pure year of music that we're going to ever have. From now on, we are going to be so saturated with AI music slop that I don't know if we'll be able to say we have another like pure year ever again. You know,
where all music is made by people.
Yes, and I
think that's over with.
I agree with that to some extent. However, I think in the coming years it's going to become super common for a guy to record a guitar part and then just run that guitar part through an amp and be like, make this sound like Jimi Hendrix, right? So like the song's not AI generated, but pieces of individual songs and tracks, which we already do that. We use smart technology to denoise things. We do that kind of stuff. But I think that it is going to become super common over the next year for a band to like an electronic artist to just have generated lyrics, or to just or like vocals, or to you record some crappy sounding drums and you run those drums through some sort of an AI and it makes it sound like some Grammy worthy quality drums. And it's going to be impossible to know what's real, what's not real. They're going to have to come up with ways to solve these things, because I feel like we are, as listeners, we should know what we're listening to, how it's been created. And up until this point in history, you know how things were recorded and created, you know? So it's like, it's going to be really tough, I think, from now on. And we don't have to make this into a whole hour-long discussion about this. I do want to hear your thoughts on this, but that's one of the reasons I'm pointing out that I'm so happy that I heard the albums that I did this year and the creativity and the like mind-blowing stuff that I heard, because next year, jazz, metal, fusion, funk, rap thing, people are just going to write those words into a AI and it's going to poop out things that would have been almost impossible to do up until this point. And so I'm so happy that I still got to hear such great, phenomenal, diverse, crazy, juxtaposed elements on all of my albums. What's going to happen is music is going to it's going to separate into 2 banks. This crazy, weird crap, and then really stripped down, raw, bare things that AI would be harder for AI to reproduce. And so we're going to get raw, dirty sounding, realistic sounding things. And then the opposite end of the spectrum is going to be like, why would, if you were a record label and you could make Britney Spears music without Britney Spears, why wouldn't you do that and save all the money you have to pay Britney Spears? You know, that's just an example. And I love Britney Spears, but I'm just saying, like, the music industry is going to change, and we are at a tipping point this year. And like you said, we've already experienced a lot of that this year, but I feel like the average person doesn't even know about that stuff. But by this time next year, it will be a different story. So
I don't agree with that.
Okay.
Some parts of it I do, I think, in a way. But
and I know I said a lot there. So
yeah.
I've been thinking about it a lot.
Yeah. AI isn't really getting any better at this point. Mm-hmm. I mean, it kind of is, depending on what thing you're looking at, what thing you're talking to. But in terms of becoming, like, there's a group called the IA-SIG, which is the Interactive Audio Special Interest Group, and I'm part of a secondary group of that focuses on AI in creative spaces, especially when it comes to sound and music. And I will say, through that, and then also my own experiences using AI for various things, music is significantly more in the crosshairs of AI, so to speak, which clashes a little bit with a different opinion I have, but in the sense that music is math. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the big problems when it comes to AI replacement for music, is that it is technically the thing that AI is very good at, which is math. But I also think that any music made with AI is not going to be particularly interesting, because it is the human element of music that makes it good. And then when it comes to like AI for what you're talking about with like make it sound like Jimi Hendrix, for example, when people talk to me specifically about AI in reference to sound design, it's something that I am very, very not worried about. Because, and this, separates the music and the production elements from each other a little bit in a way that is not as relevant, because, this is a conversation about music, but when it comes to effects, like if you're talking about prompting something, you basically have to prompt it with a reference. Like you said, make this sound like Jimi Hendrix. When it comes to sound design, what are you prompting it with? Like, you can either because once you start describing, how you want a spaceship to sound or a certain alien creature, like all you can do is mention a thing that already exists. Mm-hmm. And it might get you part of the way there, but it also is not going to put out something that I have ever heard to be particularly impressive. It all has a very confined, like everything exists within like really strict parameters, and like almost like a muddy sound to it. And that's just with, I need the sound of a cannon firing. Mm-hmm. Like when we're talking about library stuff and source and base audio, like that's as far as I've ever heard AI get in terms of replicating what I do. And then when it comes to, like in Wizard with a Gun, for example, like the little pink alien things, like you have to decide how you want it to sound, and then you have to create the theme and then, apply those effects and everything to what you're doing. And you can't tell it, I want this to sound like a squidgy, rubbery, like squid type creature. Because you might get a stem that sort of fits whatever it thinks that description is, but the amount of alteration you're going to have to do to it after you get it makes it not really worth your time. Mm-hmm. Especially because, I don't know, just who knows how long that file's going to be, who knows what it's going to sound like in terms of what you can do with it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
So that's kind of how I feel about the idea of writing a guitar part and then saying, make this sound like Jimi Hendrix. Because on the one hand, that might work. That's a really specific example. And who knows how well that would work overall. But also, one of the things that's really nice is that generally speaking, if you are a musician in a position to be recording your music and making an album, you probably know how to do most of that stuff already. Like, this isn't, I think it's kind of rare these days for anybody who's learning how to play music and record music to not know anything about how to alter it, because it's all digital.
Right.
And the point that you made about Britney Spears, like, what's stopping any record label from saying, I want a song like Britney Spears? Like, I've heard some songs, I've dabbled with AI making music for projects that I've like, I really need a song for this. And I mean, I'm not a prompt engineer, but I have not gotten it anywhere close to what I've been able to imagine. And it definitely put out a song that sounded like a song and sounded pretty decent. But like like the drums thing, for example, just recording regular dry drums and saying, make this sound like a huge, whatever. Like, there's so much more that goes into manipulation of drums to get them to sound the way that you're describing. And AI just needs way too many specifics. And then you might as well just do it yourself, because the prompting for different effects relies on you knowing what those effects are. Like, give me a reverb that matches a concert hall with a tail of 2.5 seconds, dark, that falls over this point in time. And it's like, if you're knowing that much about how to construct a reverb for a drum, then you just go do it, because you already know what you want. And otherwise, I just don't know what the true application of AI is going to be in terms of production effects and stuff like that. Now, when you're talking about making songs, just say, hey, give me a song that sounds like Britney Spears, blah, you'll probably get a lot of trash. There'll be a lot of slop out there but none of it, there will never come a time where you end up with an album on the top 12 and then you go, holy hell, I just learned that this is an AI artist.
Oh, yes, it will.
I disagree.
10,
I completely disagree.
I would say at least 10 times this year, I found myself listening to something that I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. And when I looked into it more, it was an AI generated band.
I really want to hear some of that. I'd be really surprised to hear that.
Yeah, almost all of it was electronic music, I will say. And one of the things, I found it accidentally like multiple times throughout the year, because I would be listening to something and it would end and it would autoplay that as the next thing. And every time I was like, oh my God, like never have I ever heard choir in an electronic song, because electronic songs are made by a dude in a basement, not at a record label, not with a budget to add a choir. And so when I would be listening to it, I'm like, oh my God, this is so fantastic. The drums sound great. The synth bass is phenomenal. The lead vocals are great. And then there's this choir part in the chorus. And I would be listening to it and I would click on the thing to go look if they had an album. And every time, this same song happened to me twice this year. But this is a sort of similar to things that have happened to me throughout the year as well, with other stuff as well. I would go look at it and I would be like, hold on, they have 10 albums that were just released this year. And it's 10 songs on each album. How is this possible? And then I'm like, oh, well, they're probably, my first thought is always, they're idiots. They've been a band for, 15 years and they just put all their albums on Spotify this year. But that doesn't track. And you look into it a little bit and you go in and then it's like, no, this is an AI band. Thank God people are still at least have some will to put that stuff in there, because I think in the future it's going to be really hard to tell whether something was made by a person or by AI.
Well, I think it's also important to keep in mind that a person is still making it. Like, AI is the thing that people think about in a way that I find troubling so often is they just imagine that AI is a machine in a dark room that's making things without any human input. And that's, of course, that's the goal, quote unquote, to get an AI that is that AGI. But at the end of the day, there is an argument to be made for AI being a tool that makes things easier and also lowers the barrier to entry for so many people to do so many different things. Like, if I could get an AI that was good enough at writing piano parts for me to be able to incorporate more piano and musical design into what I do without having to learn piano, that would be rad. I think that would be fantastic, because I have too many things going on and it takes a long time to learn how to play piano. But there is absolutely an element of it being a useful tool. And to that effect, somebody still had the thoughts of that electronic music with that choir and the other things. And then they, made it that way through prompting or however that actually works. but it was still a person at the end of the day. So it's like, then it becomes a matter of, does this count? And I struggle with the idea that it doesn't count as much as somebody who did it the hard way just because they didn't do it the hard way. And like, because that's a classic argument that's as old as time. You know, oh, we walked to school in the snow both ways, et cetera, et cetera. And, you know, the written word is going to ruin stories, and then
right.
the radio is going to ruin the written word, and so on and so on. And so, like, paintings didn't stop just because the camera came out, you know? And it's just, there is that element to it too, but more so, the real villain in all of this is like record labels and corporations and the lack of regulation on using AI tools to subvert humans for different things that otherwise humans should be doing or could be doing. And finding the balance of, you know, how much AI can get used in a thing by the humans within it before it starts to actually eliminate jobs or turn out a bunch of trash for nothing. Like, you know, that's a lot of nuance that's above my pay grade. But yeah, I don't know. I would be really interested to hear those bands that you were mentioning, because it would actually kind of be news to me to know that they sound that good. But
yeah. All right. I don't know. We should talk about this with everybody. I think it'd be fun to have Cody and Chris out and on a conversation about this too.
Yeah.
But I might cut this whole conversation out and post it separately as a separate thing, because we can't be 50 minutes before we start the video. So, okay, all of that being said, I don't know what I'll end up leaving in the video or not. It is time for us to get to our list. So I apologize for it taking so long. This has been a while since me and Chris have talked, and this is what always happens.
Yeah.
So we are to my number 12. And so real quick little story before we get into this here. Years ago, when I played Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, I heard one of the greatest songs of all time, and I really do think that this is one of the greatest songs of all time. But there was a song that they used in the promotion of that video game, in the trailers, and then also in the game itself, called, thanks, bud, called, yeah, ooh, is this a new kind? Snowball Slushy. Prime. Thanks, bud. There's a song on that soundtrack of Metal Gear Solid 5 called Nuclear. And it was by an artist named Mike Oldfield. And anyone who knows anything about music will know that Mike Oldfield is the guy that wrote the Tubular Bells song that became the theme song for The Exorcist. And
nice.
was also like one of the most famous instrumental songs of all time. Tubular Bells is like all-time, like an all-time, right? Like, I've got multiple copies of the vinyl. He's released it like 50 times over the years. But Mike Oldfield released sort of like a rock album in 2012, I believe it was, or whenever, shortly before Phantom Pain came out. And there was a song called Nuclear on there. I found out this year that the artist who sang on that song, and I've always thought that the vocals on that song were one of the best vocal performances I've ever heard. I love the voice, and I thought it was Mike Oldfield. I found out while I was in the hospital that it was actually a singer called Luke Spiller, and he is a vocalist for the band The Struts in England, of whose music I've never heard a bit of it. But in a very awesome coincidence, again, while I was in the hospital, I found this out and I clicked on Luke Spiller's name. And that week, he had just released an album that was his debut solo album. And my number 12 of 2025 is Luke Spiller's solo album. And it is called, it has a long name, Love Will Probably Kill Me Before Cigarettes and Wine. And this album is so awesome. It is so different from anything else on my list. Let's listen to it, and I'll see what you think, Chris, and then I'll talk a little bit about it, and then we can move on with the list. So this is going to be track 2 from the album. This song is called If This Isn't Love by Luke Spiller, my number 12. All right, you hear it? Okay, great. We can talk over the music too, Chris, by the way.
Okay.
It wouldn't be one of our a video on our channel if we didn't talk over it.
I'm very surprised at this being a selection of yours so far.
Like the feeling when your stars align, and the pain I carried all of my life is fading away. If this isn't love,
So high.
then I don't know what it is. This ain't enough. Then I don't know what it is. Lately I just wanna go further. You know I let you get away with murder, 'cause my heart's the only thing I could dream of holding against you. Let me step inside your soul, give you fantasies you can't control. Push your back up right against the wall and I'll fire away. If this isn't love, then I don't know what it is. This ain't enough, then I don't know.
That ride's really coming through.
Yep. Yeah, it does. Yeah.
When it hits so hard, you let down your guard. Your defenses are destroyed. Flying when you fall, supernatural, but your head's still paranoid. I'm about to bust at the seams. Going with it's a hot fever dream. Melting my cold heart, I'm feeling alive.
Don't worry, everybody. I will be editing all of the songs as we go through and censoring it. Some of mine are going to be pretty tough, which is surprising.
Some of mine are going to be pretty tough. At least one.
Listen to those lush strings, man.
They are lush and very large. But I can also hear that shaker.
Yeah, yeah.
What's the point in growing up not feeling the thing I always wanted to believe in? Don't wanna waste my time breathing if this isn't love.
That's the one thing that I would be really interesting thinking about the AI thing is like, would it be able, or does it, can it place things in the mix in the way that that shaker and that ride stick out of this whole thing? Like even different stereo image positions.
I'll respond to that in a second after the song's over because I couldn't hear a word you said. I'll have to do some adjusting volume-wise here.
No, I don't know. I don't know what it is.
So, okay. So, before you forget what it was you said there? Something about the shaker.
Yeah, I was just thinking like, I know that you mentioned that all the AI music that you've heard so far, most of it at least, is very electronic, and so this might not be relevant beyond speculation. But I was just thinking, like, in the process of making a song as an AI, what sort of ability could it possibly have to place things in the mix in such a way, like those strings were all very wide, and then the ride and the shaker were both much more like in the middle, like everything had its place, the things that we talked about with mixing all the time. Like that seems like a piece of the puzzle that would be incredibly difficult for AI to get right out of the gate.
Yeah, I don't know how I don't know. I know I remember last year there was that metal band, it was like they made songs about orcs and stuff. It was like the first true AI band. And that was just 1 year ago. And now this year we have all sorts of AI stuff going on. But I don't know. Anyway, we don't need to discuss the AI stuff too much. But so that album, like I said, Luke Spiller, he's the singer for the Struts. If anyone listens to this and watches this video and wants us to react to any of the Struts albums, please let me know because I haven't heard any of them yet. I've been trying to hold off on that.
Wait, the Struts. I know you said all this before the song,
Yeah.
but now I feel like I'm like remembering who the Struts are.
Well, I think they're kind of like one of those like rock sort of throwback sort of rock-ish kind of bordering on glam rock type of bands. I mean, not super. I mean, when I hear the Struts, I think the Strokes, the Hives, the whatevers.
Yeah,
And
there was a song that the Struts had that I really liked, and I don't remember what it was or if there was more than one, but this is starting to look very familiar.
Yeah, I had never I did not know who they were. The only thing, like I said, is that Nuclear song from the Metal Gear Solid 5 Phantom Pain soundtrack, which I thought was phenomenal. And so then when I found out that this was released, this whole album is his debut solo album, and I love the way that it is made. It is made like a James Bond song. Every song has string section on it. These strings are just like I say with that Kaiser's Orchestra album that I talk about nonstop. The strings are just as important a part, if not more so, on some of the songs than any guitar or drums or bass. And so this album is focused on his voice and the strings. And then in some of the songs, the drums sound much further back, so that it's more like you're listening to an orchestral performance with him singing, and they do that on purpose. But then there are some songs where like the piano is the main instrument, and it sounds like a close mic'd piano, like right in your face. So some of the songs are approached very differently, but the production is really good. There are some moments where I'm like, oh man, this could be done a little better. There's a lot of compression and stuff going on here, but it's really done really well. It has a very throwback sound to it, which for me this year, like half the year was metal and half the year was like these crazy throwback records that sound like they're from the 60s or the 70s, or in this case from the 50s or even from the 60s and 70s and stuff too. But like
I would have put this square in the like late 80s ballad.
Yep, big
like
ballady type stuff. Yep, exactly.
Like everything, like he looks like he's out of a different time. Like that, all of his pictures and stuff on Spotify there during that song is like, this is all Bon Jovi looking stuff. Like it's very, very late 80s, big hair ballad type song.
Yeah. And this album is not that though. This album is, like I said, this is more orchestral. It's the string sections there in every song. He does some really cool vocal stuff like in that song, but there's more vocal gymnastics in that one. But he really pushes it. He has one song, I think it's the last song on the album, that's like a duet with him and Kendall Rux. It's phenomenal. But this whole album is really nice. The one thing is that it feels a little bit short, even though it's 41 minutes. Some of the songs feel short. Some of the songs are these big epic songs like A Magic at Midnight in Mel's Diner, and then Don't Be Afraid to Love Me, if anyone's looking at the album or not. But these are like different tracks on the album that are a little bit longer. They're like close to 6 minutes. There's a few that are like 3.5, and the songs have time to breathe. There's sections where the strings are just playing, or the guitar, where the music is allowed to be patient rather than trying to just rush through everything. And so I really appreciate that. And it caught me off guard. And the funny thing about this album is I listened to this album probably 5 or 6 times throughout the year, which for me is a lot. I do not listen to the same albums a lot till it gets to the end of the year. And I listened to this album when I was in the hospital, and I kept trying to listen to it throughout the year, and it just wasn't clicking with me. And it wasn't until about 2 weeks ago when I was going back over stuff, and I listened to this whole album in one sitting when we were on a long drive in the car. And I had my headphones on, and I was just zoned in on it for the entire 40 minutes. And after it was done, I was like, I get it. It clicked. I finally got it. I understand it. I really appreciate it. There's no way this can't be on my list. And so that's why it's at my number 12.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was the Shins that I was thinking of.
Okay.
The song Turn a Square.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the Shins, the Strokes, the Hives, the Thes, that kind of stuff.
the S underscore. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so on to your number 12.
All right, you're going to be all bent out of shape about this in one way or another, but so let's see if you can guess what it is by the way I described this.
Okay.
A single for it dropped, and it sounded pretty promising after
Lights.
After we had been complaining about their past work.
Lights.
Generally speaking. And at number 12, man,
I know, I'm just kidding.
A new album this year.
Kidding. I know, but Dead was so disappointing, but that's all right. Go ahead.
And so it was promising, and then I went and listened to it, and I was like, oh, okay, so it's just that one song all the way through to the end of the album. And that album is Pathways by Birthday Massacre.
It wasn't bad. It's not their worst album, which is saying something.
No, it's not.
But I actually think it's their second worst album. Because I think Diamonds is just so boring. And that was the other album that you had on your list. And I was like yelling at you, like, "Wow, you are so idiotic."
I know it.
And this album... Aw. Okay, well, this is nowhere near on my list. So, hey, at least we get to listen to some Birthday Massacre.
You didn't even put it in your honorable mentions.
No.
There are other albums I may have probably been able to put in this number 12. I didn't really say my honorable mentions. I only had 3.
That's right. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Quiet in Your Service by Echoes, which she had some really impressive singles and stuff up to that point. And her style is good. It's cool. It fits my wheelhouse a lot. That album's really short, and it does have a similar problem of just kind of being the same all the way through. Like I said, I was spent yesterday trying to listen to all of these albums in a row, and then trying to figure out how to assess the order based on that, because I've never really tried it that way before. And one thing that happened at one point was like, I'm feeling them coalesce into different categories of whether or not I remember anything standing out from them.
Yep.
In the order that I listened to them to, where it's like this first one that I listened to, banging. This one is just a gray block, and then this one next to it is also just a gray block, and then this next album that's really interesting. And so I was like, well, I know that I can take these gray block albums and put them in the bottom. And this is one of them. Echoes was another one. Feed Me, that I can't... Oh, wait, it's in here somewhere. Oh, yeah. Felt Sick by Feed Me. Feed Me is an electronic band that occasionally has guest vocalists. I would say maybe more than occasionally. I would say like in line with Infected Mushroom, but with more vocals, and then also like Pretty Lights, I think, too, in certain ways. They had an album called Calamari Tuesday from 2013. That's very, very good. Really, really good stuff. And they have not done a great job of hitting that mark since then. And this one is better, but didn't make the list. And then The Midnight was another one that I honestly probably should have put on the list, because I think you would probably agree that Midnight album is better than this Birthday Massacre album.
Oh, I had The Midnight on my list of almost makes it, kind of. So.
Yeah, and the number one reason that is in my honorable mentions is that I forgot it was a thing until moments before we started. So... Okay. So, secret number 12.
You know, that's so funny, because I tried to remind you of that album like multiple times throughout the year.
So many times. And I listened to it like 5 or 6 times.
Yeah.
It is quite good. And it is like, in any year that we don't have a new album from Gunship, The Midnight will do just fine. Like,
that's really what it reminded me of, was the Gunship. Even though I never did listen to that Gunship album in full, but that's what it reminded me of. But with a little bit more synth waviness to it rather than the electronic side.
But yeah, so my list is already off to a crappy start, because there's at least one better album that I'm aware of than this one.
Well, and we can bring this up whenever we want, but this album suffers from the lack of high end. There's no high end on this album.
Oh,
the Birthday Massacre one we're talking about now.
I listened to it yesterday while I was driving to IKEA, and there was one point where it was like one song specifically, I don't remember which one, somewhere in the middle, that I was like, I don't know if I could tell you what is even happening in this song instrumentally. Like, it felt really washed out and almost like MP3-ish.
Yeah.
In that messy way.
There is one song on the album that is like that. It's totally different from the rest of them. And then the first track is like way better sounding than the rest of them too.
The first track, I think, was the single that got me hyped for the album.
Yeah. Yep.
So, and then the rest of the album was...
Okay, so hold on. Just so everybody knows, if you've never heard of the Birthday Massacre before, they were my favorite band for a long time. I kind of got Chris into them, though he hasn't heard a lot of their catalog, which is totally cool. We can listen to it sometime on the channel. And then this year they came out with an album. I did a reaction to the album myself. I did a video of just what the Birthday Massacre is with my cousin Cody. So if you've never heard them before, you can go check that out. And we're going to listen to a song of theirs.
I did not watch either of those videos.
And that's all right. And we're going to listen to a song of theirs right now. But this is a band that both Chris and I have talked about many times here on the channel, so that's why we're kind of like going along like we know what we're talking about, but you might not. So that's kind of just to catch you up a little.
So in terms of how this jam thing works, do I just start playing the
I think
song?
you just start playing it.
All right, I will.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, this sounds great.
Yeah.
This album's going to be fantastic.
And they always have one or two like heavier songs on the album, and it's always their singles. So
Oh, wow. That's,
Yeah.
that's crappy of them.
yeah.
Like, if you didn't already know this band and you heard this song, you'd be like, let's go.
Yeah, it's 1000%. And I'm just very jaded about them, you know, as we've talked about before. Go see my video on the Birthday Massacre that we released earlier this year.
You're totally right about it being a no high-end album.
Yeah. And the other songs are worse than this one. This one has a little bit more into it. But
Yeah.
I did debate about burning myself a copy of this, boosting the high frequencies, and then seeing if I liked it more. I know I would like it more,
Yeah.
but we'll talk a little bit more about that process and how I feel about it on a later album. Turn the treble knob up is all you need to do. On your old stereo cabinet.
Treble.
Love the synth bass.
Yes.
The thing that impressed me the most about their last album was, which I did like a lot, that album, her vocals are so much better than they were at the beginning of their career. Like, she is such a more confident singer, and they had some male backing vocals on their previous album that they've never had before, maybe a little bit here and there, but they have a new guy join the band that does backing vocals now.
Oh, cool.
And it's on this album too, so I really do think the vocals are really good across the album. It's just that they're doing the same. The Birthday Massacre has like 8 songs that they do, and then they've redone them on their last like 5 albums. They just need a new producer. That's what I've been saying for years.
Yeah.
But they make everything themselves. So.
And this also is like, we'll probably talk about this more on the next video, but the structure of this is very, very AB bridge.
Interesting, yeah. And they traditionally like the song structuring where it's intro, verse, chorus, and then outro for like the last minute of a song is like a whole different thing.
Oh, okay.
They do that a lot. Like they would do this kind of thing and then not go back to the chorus. But I believe in this song they do go back to the chorus one the final time. And this is how all the Birthday Massacre's heavier songs are.
Yeah.
Cool riff, neat synths, and then they end the song with the heavy part. Yeah. I was not expecting to know very many things on your list, so this being the start of it, very interesting. Because we didn't talk about this album ever. So
I do wonder how much overlap we'll have.
I don't think we'll have any overlap this year, as
don't know.
opposed to other
I
years.
think we'll see.
Yeah, I would be very surprised if we do.
What was I gonna say?
Sorry, I feel like I talked over your song a lot more than you talked over mine, but I've heard it before, and
Yeah.
which is not an excuse
Yeah.
for the people watching. Sorry, everybody. Trust me, the comments we've been getting on our Ghost and Beatles videos, people are ripping me to shreds. But it's the same old, same old.
Is that because you're talking over the Beatles?
No. In that case, it's not. It's that we dared to say anything at all about the Beatles. Generally, people are just like, every single comment is like, you're an audio engineer and you can't appreciate the fact that they only had a 4-track recorder and they had to, pan things to the left and the right, and they're not going to waste 2 tracks to get a stereo sound. You're so stupid. I would never hire you as my audio engineer. How do they give you a degree? You're so stupid.
Here's my hot take on the Beatles in that respect. Everything they did would have happened eventually, and within the same decade.
Yes. Yeah. The only thing is, the Beatles are awesome. They really are. Everything I've heard from them is super impressive. And I even do give credit to the fact that they were doing a lot of it first. I agree with you that stuff would have happened eventually, but even though the fact that they were the first to do a lot of things, and still to this day probably even the best, but we are listening, in the videos we've been doing, we are listening to the modern AI-edited versions of the Beatles. And so it sounds way better than it ever has before. And if you are asinine enough to think that the Beatles sounded this good back then, you are nuts. You're nuts. It sounds so good on these modern remasters / remixes / remakes.
Oh, sure.
That you are an imbecile if you think that it sounded this good back then. I don't care what kind of cabinet you had, okay? But anyway, sorry. That's
And there's no way that they let AI anywhere near the Beatle remasters.
Oh no, they did. They used
Really?
Yes, they used AI to pull all of the information off of the tracks, so they could isolate everything and have everything separate to pan it differently.
Oh, sure. Actually, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. there was a website I was using for a while, voice.ai rather. And it has a great extract where it splits them all into stems, bass, drum, vocal, whatever.
But anyway, so Birthday Massacre, everybody go check them out. But I would recommend their most 4 recent albums, throw them away and listen to everything before that.
Yeah, they're all the same.
And honestly, there's good stuff there too. So, okay. So that brings us to, I forgot to do this. Let me pull up my actual thing. So my number 12, shoot, I did them in the wrong order because I had them in the wrong. It doesn't matter. We'll just say my number 12 is the Luke Spiller album. Luke Spiller has 106,000 monthly listeners on Spotify, and that album, Love Will Probably Kill Me Before Cigarettes and Wine, was 10 tracks, 42 minutes long. So, and that's something we like to keep track of here while we're doing these lists, because we like to look at trends. And over the last few years, we've all noticed that album lengths are going down. So 10 tracks, 42 minutes. That's a decent length album for 10 tracks too.
Yeah.
And I did mention that there were several really long tracks on there, like 6 minutes long. So, okay. So my number 11 then is, let's just listen to it and we'll see what happens here. You hear it?
Yep.
Okay.
Funny little synth.
So this is a band called Brass Camel. And this is from their second ever album called Camel, their first album called Brass. So Brass Camel with their albums Brass and Camel.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, I love it.
This is what this old music would sound like if it was made now.
Yep. That's exactly what I love about it. One of the things.
You like the band a lot, don't you?
I do enjoy the band. Yeah.
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 Getting high with the room on fire. Ecstasy is the child of desire. Just give me the world and I'll be what you require. Sweep you off your feet, rock you like a fire. Chasing the dragon on a blazing trail into the night. I'm not the one.
Does this fall into the category of music that Cody would like?
Music that what?
That Cody would like?
I think he would, yes. I regret not doing a reaction to this, but I found it at a time when we weren't doing reactions. Oh, yeah.
The panning left and right on this separation's really interesting.
Yes.
$3,200 monthly listeners is nothing, man.
Yeah, I was going to get to
Crazy
that.
how good this sounds for that.
Yes. Yep.
Guitar left, guitar right, synth right in the middle.
I love all the solo sections on this whole album. And I'm not usually the solo guy, really, but
Yeah.
this is just done so well. It sounds so good. The quality of this is equal to anything else I heard all year long. Like you said,
Yeah.
this band has like almost no listeners, it's like 3,000 monthly listeners, and this is their second album. The album, well, I'll get to that in a second, but
Listen to
yeah,
that bass.
yes,
Just crunching along in the middle there.
Yep. yes, oh.
One thing leads to another. One thing leads to another. One thing leads to another.
Little wubby wub in there.
Do they have anything that's a little bit more melodic?
Kind of. So, okay, so that again, that was Brass Camel. And the thing that I love about this, the album, this is from their second album called Camel. It's 6 songs, 40 minutes long. So the first song is 11 minutes, and then we have 4, 4.5, 5, 3.5, and then 12 minutes long. So we have 6 songs only. The first 5 songs are bangers. They're from one to the next. And this is something that I found this year for me. I think I'm coming around slowly to the idea of less conventionally structured music.
That's good.
If I allow myself to think of the entire album as one piece of music.
But not Dark Side of the Moon.
But, well, maybe I would enjoy that, but I think the quality of that was slightly below what I expected it to be, and then the songs weren't as interesting. But, and I need to listen to it again. But this, like, the first track, this is progressive blues rock, is what this is.
I was going to say, coming out of the gate with 11 minutes in this style that's a bold move.
Yeah, this is progressive blues rock. And so we did a lot of listening to Yes this year. We did listening to some prog stuff this year. And I wish all of that stuff sounded this good. And it just didn't. And one thing that I like that this band does is they have long solo sections. I mean, literally the final track is 12 minutes. There's basically 5 minutes of a song and then 7 minutes of solo to the end of the album, and then it fades out. So the final song on this album does bum me out, and it's the weakest point, in my opinion, the whole song. But what comes before it is so good that I don't want to dock it too much. But one thing I love that this band does, and they did it a little bit there, they do solos where it's like an instrument doing solo stuff. But a lot of what they do is rhythmic sections. So they, instead of having a guitar or a keyboard or an organ or something in the middle just shredding or being really crazy and technical, they do technical rhythmic stuff, which I really enjoy.
Yeah,
you know, with the da-da-da-da-dums, like stuff like that. And then they had a couple of parts where they stopped and went da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da-da. Like, it's a very rhythmically sort of sporadic sounding, spastic sounding, like instrumental section that serves as a solo without really a solo over it. And I really like that kind of stuff. Rhythmic stuff like
Sporastic's a
that.
great word, too.
Sporastic, yeah, sporadically sporadic, or whatever it was. But
Spastic,
but I also shout out to the vocalist of this band. Love the vocals. He sounds so perfectly like of a different era, but the quality of the recording is so clear and good, and it's not dirty sounding really at all. It just sounds like something from a bygone era, but at the same time with modern production, and I love that aspect of it. Like you said, this band has like 3,000 listeners, which is crazy. This is the band with the lowest amount of... I didn't look up the monthly listeners for these bands, which, by the way, we're doing this in December 2025. Maybe when they released this album earlier this year, they would have had a couple months with over 10,000. I don't know. But as of right now, when we're doing this, they have just over 3,000 monthly listeners. And like the quality of it is, like you said, way better than a band that has 3,000. Not that you can't have, fantastic quality, but like really good, really great. It's scratching an itch that I've never really had before. And I realized that I've listened to music like Steppenwolf or like just certain Deep Purple stuff sort of along these lines from the 70s, and I always was like, man, there's just something with this that I'm not connecting with. This has that, plus the great production, plus they also do really good solos and stuff where there is an instrument in the middle being featured and like little bass thing, and they do lots of drum things where it's just the drums are playing themselves, so there's like drum solos and stuff too. So it is very progressive in that way, but I just really like every aspect of this band. I think everything that they do across this whole album is really, really good. And this is supposed to be my number 12, and the Luke Spiller was supposed to be my number 11. I accidentally flipped them around, but it doesn't really matter in context of the video. But I highly recommend anyone that likes this type of thing, go listen to this entire album. It's fantastic.
Yeah, this is definitely not my style of music. But I could think there's like, I would consider myself a Pink Floyd fan in several ways, and I heard some of that in there, and it just like, but I do also, I agree, I really appreciate hearing music that sounds like this, that is this type of music, through modern recording and production, because it was just, it's not overdone. It's not intentionally made to sound like it's 60 years old either.
Yep.
It just sounds good. It's just like, this is the type of music we want to play, and we're going to record it simply with this just vanilla hit record, like middle of the road. I don't know. There's just nothing fancy happening here. Nobody is trying hard to make it sound any certain way. It just sounds good because it is the future now. And I really appreciate that about it. It's cool.
Yeah. And again, I've been trying to listen to more progressive stuff, and I find myself wishing that kind of stuff sounded more like this. And this just has elements to it. I mean, this is very different than like Yes, for example, and it's trying to do something different. But I really found myself enjoying every aspect of this. Whereas when I listened to Yes, just as an example, there would be things that I would hear that I would be like, man, I wish they didn't kind of do that, or I wish they didn't spend that long doing that, or I wish he didn't sing like this all the time, things like that. Whereas this, to me, just fell into place right away when I started listening to it. And they do surprising things, like they have different sort of modern sounding synths and stuff in some of their songs too, which could feel very out of place, but it works. Like that synth bass in the song we heard, that dum 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 dum, like that. No blues band is going to use synths that way because they just don't, because it's not in blues music. And so I like the fact that they were able to do that kind of stuff. And I'm very excited to hear their first album, which I have not listened to yet. And so I'm very excited to go back and listen to that one now. And I did listen to, just last night, I listened to like 10 seconds of it, and I'm happy to report that it sounded quality-wise very similar to this. So
cool.
Even though it's from like 6 years ago. So, all right. Oh, no.
Oh, man. Let's see. Are there any on here that you haven't heard? Only a couple. So,
Okay.
Number 11 is Pendulum.
Okay.
Inertia. Yeah.
I was going to say, if we do have any albums that are the same, we should wait until the person who has it highest up on their list to actually do the discussion about it.
Sure.
So in this case, I will say that I have this on my list as well, and it is higher up on my list. So we can wait till I get to it, if you're all right with that. Okay, well then, in that case then, we're moving on to my number 10, which is, I can tell you, because it's not a big deal, it shouldn't be surprising to you. This is the album 1997 by the Japanese metal band Mook. Now, the fact that they are so low on my list is surprising. However, they are clearly doing things recently that aren't necessarily vibing with me as much. I still love them. I think they're great. Our reaction to this album, my reaction to this album actually just came out 2 days ago or 3 days ago on the channel. It has like no views. But I highly recommend everyone go look at it because I spent quite a long time editing the intro. I filmed an entire samurai movie in about 5 minutes, and that's the intro to this. For those of you who are unfamiliar, Mook is a Japanese metal band. They, in keeping with the Japanese metal tradition, like Chris and I discuss sometimes, it's incredibly varied in the styles that they choose to play. So there can be a very heavy part in the same song as a part that's like just a piano and someone singing a ballad. It can vary incredibly within song. But one of the things that I love the most about Mook specifically is that they don't feel to me like a gimmicky band. You know, generally, they try to stick to a style from song to song. And that's one of the things I like about them the most. When you listen to a Mook album, a lot of the times in the middle of the album, there's like a section that's like totally different than the rest of the album. As an example of that, they had several albums in a row where the first like 4 or 5 tracks, their albums always have a lot of tracks. And as an example of that, this album is called 1997, and it has 16 tracks. They're all songs, though the intro is an intro. So there's 16 tracks, and it's 62 minutes long. So it's a big, chunky album, and it is. They have 94,000 monthly listeners, so not a very huge band at all. Definitely not as big as they deserve to be, in my opinion, for a band that's been around since 1997, which is the year that their first album came out. But
much of their music is unlistenable.
I know you're not a big fan, but I don't think you've ever heard. I don't think you've heard the best representation of them, especially because, well, it doesn't matter, but
that's fine.
But the thing that's cool about them is that they have such variety on their albums, and this album is no different. This album for them is a bit of an experimental album, and it is almost a bit of a when there's like a theme to an album, what do they call that? Like
concept album?
A concept album. All the music on this album is inspired by the music that they loved from the 90s specifically.
Nice.
And when you listen to that, you might not necessarily get a lot of that. But for me, it's a little bit difficult because I don't really know what music was popular in the 90s in Japan.
Yeah.
You know, so they're coming at it from what they knew and what they were, you know, what was popular in Japan at the time, which might be a little different than what was popular here in the 90s. And so there's a lot of variety on this album. I was very pleasantly surprised that instead of the like jazz songs in the middle of the album, we had a song that was so clearly inspired by Aha's Take on Me that I'm like,
oh, sure,
let's go. And in the video, you
That's
can see
awesome.
me be so excited. They had several synthy things on the album that were really cool. They had two very weird prog songs on the album. One of them was inspired by Deep Purple and that kind of thing. So kind of similar to the Brass Camel we just listened to, but this weird long song that was just, it didn't even have a title. It's just a triangle is the name of the song. The triangle symbol is the name of the song. So they're being weird. Yeah,
Delta?
Yeah, could be Metal Gear Solid Delta. But sure, that's the triangle. But so they're being weird and stuff. And so the song that I chose for us to listen to, because I thought maybe people watching this might be getting exposed to Mook for the first time, is a bit more one of their more straightforward songs. It's got this album very similar to their previous full length album which is called New World. They're not leaning into the heavy. My favorite Mook albums are the ones where they are much heavier across the whole album. Then with some really nice ballads mixed in. Whereas their last few albums, full-length albums, because they've been releasing a lot of weird music and re-recording some of their earlier stuff and everything over the last 5-6 years. But their last two full-length original albums, they haven't leaned into the heavy at all. They've been leaning into trying different things. And that's cool. I still enjoy it a lot. I think the vocals are always fantastic with this band. And for those of you who don't ever listen to Japanese music, but you may be familiar with anime soundtracks, Mook has done multiple anime intros and outro theme songs. A lot of their songs sound like stereotypical Japanese anime songs, so you might not be surprised when you hear this. So the song,
I'm looking forward to. I would like to hear Mook in a way that makes me like them, because I know that every once in a while, you'll play a song and it's like, oh, that was great, and then I'll listen to the album and it's like, I don't know where that song went, but the rest of this is just a bunch of nonsense, and so it's like kind of. Yeah, but
and then I also know that when we listen to Japanese stuff, sometimes you have in the past gotten Mook mixed up with Maximum the Hormone, as well. Which Maximum the Hormone does not have a disappointing song. Every song that they have is 10 out of 10 plus.
Pretty sure Maximum the Hormone I find to be much more palatable and fantastic than Mook.
I think Maximum the Hormone has two perfect 10 out of two of the best albums of all time. But the thing about Mook is they have like 15 albums, whereas Maximum the Hormone has like 2 albums. And the consistency with Mook is really great. So like I do consider Mook to be a better band, but Maximum the Hormone is on a level that's beyond almost all other bands in any genre. So we are going to listen to the track called Invader. This is one of the bigger singles from the album, though it only has 118,000 songs. This is Invader by Mook from 1997, which is my number 10 album of the year. You're hearing it, right?
Yep.
Okay. I mentioned earlier that one of my honorable mention albums that almost made it was by a Japanese band called Tatsuro. That is the vocalist from Mook. He released a solo album this year that was fantastic.
I just realized that a band I forgot to add to my file.
The production on the last few albums has been much better than they've had in the past two. This album's production is really good, very clean, really good. I love the piano across this whole
Is this
album.
English or no?
It's not in English.
Okay.
Like all Japanese bands, they throw in little bits of English here and there.
So now, with it being a 2025 remaster, is this a song on a different album?
No, it's just that they released it as a single for like some project at some point, and so to differentiate it from whenever it was released before on the album, it's 2025 remaster. It just, this is the first time it was released, basically.
Okay.
I think it may have been associated with an anime or something, but there's several songs on the album that are listed that way. And oh, here's the solo. One of the solos. We talked about Mook a lot at the beginning of this year because just like Raunchy, they are a metal band that has fun without being funny.
Yeah.
And so I talked about them a lot. They make fun sounding music without being comical. So there you go. How'd you feel about that, Chris?
Vocally, not my favorite thing. Not too bad. I know you love a gang vocal. The main lead singer is not going to make me listen to any more of Mook, but
Sure.
in
And that's what
terms
you've
of
said in the past. Yeah.
Yeah, but in terms of just like the song, it's cool. I don't know. I dug it. The metal aspect of it, like the solo spot especially, the tonally reminded me so much of somebody that I couldn't think of who. But
Yeah. See, when it comes to Japanese metal, for me, I tried this year to find other Japanese bands that I liked, and I keep running into the same problem. Every Japanese metal band, the vocalist sings with this like super nasally voice.
Yeah.
And I just can't, it's hard for me to get into it, even though could be some really cool music, and Japanese metal make some of the most like devastatingly, crushingly heavy things of all time. And I just don't care for the vocalists that much. And I really did try this year to get into other Japanese metal bands. When I was in the hospital specifically, I just spent like several hours one day looking through different things, and like multiple times I did that. And the thing that I keep coming back to Mook is Tatsuro, their singer. He can sing very nasally, but he does it intentionally. But he also sings very smoothly, which in this song, he did sing smoothly as well. And he, just like every other part of the band, is incredibly varied with the way he approaches what they're doing. So Mook is one of the worst bands to just listen to like one song. Like, you are not getting what Mook is as a band by listening to any one song. You really do have to try to listen to a full album. And if it, like you've said multiple times to me, they're just not for you, 1,000,000% totally fine. They are one of my top like 3 favorite bands of all time. They are my number 1 favorite metal band. Unless Raunchy gets off their ass and decides to release their 10-year-long album that they've lied to us about multiple times this year. But
they're just hanging out in a room somewhere with Convey, laughing and laughing.
I still post stuff on their Facebook page. Like what I've started to do is when I see other metal bands post stuff about like, oh, what's a really great album that you are looking forward to next year or something, I always go there and post, if Raunchy gets off their ass and stops being terrible liars, years. And I do
Yes.
that for all these other metal bands, and people always comment in the comments like LOL, but I'm like, I think I'm starting to get known in the Facebook metal community as the guy that bags on raunchy, because they've lied to me for 10 years. 10 years they've lied to me. But anyway, sorry. So yeah, that's Mook. Not a big deal. We can move on.
Cool.
Yep.
All right, number 10 is, I'm just going to call it the first part of the comma-separated Spanish title.
Okay.
Lucro Sucio
Oh boy.
by Mars Volta.
Oh, I had no idea they even had an album this year.
Yes, indeed. And they're definitely still going down the path that they set for themselves with their previous album. It's a little bit better, which is why it's on the list.
Okay.
But I saw them live last month,
Oh.
I think, for the first time, which was really exciting because that was on my list of bands I never thought I would see live as long as I live.
Yeah.
And I had heard some musings about what the show would be like, because it was like, man, if I could get some like mid-2000s Mars Volta in this show, this is going to be fire.
Yeah.
And it super was not that.
Oh.
They pretty much, I think what they did, and I don't know this album well enough to know if this is true, but I think they just played this album front to back with no breaks.
Okay,
and
interesting.
they just filled it with like all of their meandering, noodling sort of ways that they have. And it was a really great show. They sounded fantastic. And not many bands have ever put on a show in that way. But I would love to have heard some of that good old stuff. And at the end of the show, the lead singer commented about it and, something, the old stuff, something. And I didn't hear what he said. It sounded like it could have gone either, if you want to hear stuff more like the old stuff, just wait, we're going to get there. Or if you want to hear stuff more like the old stuff, too bad, eat shit and die. And I'm not really sure. I'm just not sure which direction the comment actually went.
Sure.
So TBD on that. But this is a little bit more like their old stuff compared to the previous album in that it is very like, there's a lot of sort of experimentation and loose meandering aspects to it. Like the first two tracks are both like a minute long, and they are both integrated with each other, and then also into the third track, which is what I've chosen for the song here, which is like,
okay.
Why is this? Why have you done this?
That is weird.
So weird and stupid. But it just, I don't know. We're getting closer. Maybe they need to something warm back up, find a way to cut 10 or 15 years off themselves and then get back into it. But this is going to be... It was actually really difficult to figure out which song to play from this album.
Yeah.
For this reason. But I think... But the production on it is still fantastic. Like, they're really... It's so good.
I think
So-
I've only ever heard one other Mars Volta song, and it's something you played for me at one point.
Probably. Was it
And I
last
was
year?
like, wow, this is not what I expected it to be at all. At all. So I'm really curious to hear this.
This will probably also have that response.
Okay.
But let's start with track 1 and then go through to the end of track 3.
Okay.
Since they're only, I mean, it will ultimately make this a 5-ish minute song, but
That's all
I
right.
don't know.
That's fine.
Yeah. Is it gonna work?
Yep, I got it.
Nice.
This is nice.
Isn't this nice?
Yeah.
18 songs, 49 minutes, a hefty album to be sure.
Okay. Interesting. What's the longest song on the album?
the last one's 5:45.
Okay, awesome.
But a lot of 2-minute, 3-minute stuff.
Yeah. Love the transition there.
Imagine listening to this just all by itself at 1 minute, 10 seconds.
Yeah, weird, very weird.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, there didn't need to be a break there.
Just.
Yeah. I could see between the first one and that part, but...
Yeah.
Oh, ugh. Saxophone.
Listen to how great this percussion sounds.
It does. It all sounds really good.
Yeah. That guy, that ghost playing the saxophone flying around the room.
Yeah. It's very vibey, but also very chill.
Yes. Which is great, because they do this a lot in the old stuff, too, but they also counter it with cocaine, and this just doesn't have any of that.
Sure.
Awesome delay on the vocal there. I really love how vibey this album is, because the previous one was so stuck in just being like individual tracks,
Yeah.
and this is super vibey.
Would you say that this is better listened to as a whole album rather than just in individual chunks?
Yeah, very much so.
Do they just have one percussionist on stage, or do they perform with two, like a percussionist and a drummer?
I think probably they definitely had a drummer. I don't remember who the percussionist was, but the drummer was drumming, so
Yeah,
they had
yeah.
to have two.
Yeah. That's really fun. Reminds me of the Powerman 5000's first album. One of the only other like bands that I know of that had a percussionist, an auxiliary percussionist, just in their band.
Yeah.
This is weird.
Yeah. And then it will just go right into 4.
We'll pause it. You can pause it though.
Okay.
Very weird how
Yeah.
it does that.
And it's I haven't listened to it enough to know where a really good break-off point was. I'm a little disappointed in what I chose, but
That's all
it
right.
is so hard to find a place to stop it, because it is just such a flowy vibe of an album. And at least it's got that going for it. Like their previous album, like I said, was mostly really seemed to be very single-based. on just like track in a much more traditional way. And at least this one jams big time. So they're coming back slowly but surely. And I'm just glad that they're back, like I said last time.
Yeah, I don't know. If you showed me that and been like, what is this and do you like it? I would say I have no idea, and no, I really don't. I think the song you showed me, the other one, which was, I think maybe even from there. When was their last album? That's hilarious.
I think 2 years ago.
And
then before that was, they've got this one, and then 2023 was previous, and then I guess their last one was 2022, and before that, I believe was their big break. 21. Yeah, Nocturnicate from 2012 was their last album before that. So they had like a 10-year hiatus.
Right. Okay. So, that's what I was thinking. Because remembered you showing me one song specifically, and I was just shocked at the Spanish vibes of it, which obviously we had all throughout that a lot of percussion stuff. So very different, but also very unconventionally structured, exactly like you said. So yeah, not really for me, but that's fine. And a band you've talked about before, so I know that they're important to you.
Yeah, and I loved it. I don't know, like it's the wandering aspect of it is so very just like what they do. Like my favorite album of theirs, Francis the Mute from 2005, they do have a single called The Widow, which is arguably the best song on that album, and it is significantly more traditionally structured. So if we wanted to listen to something that sounded like a normal song, that would be a place to do it, but it still is not super normal.
Yeah. And you really do like meandery things. You talked about that in Metallica videos a lot. You talked about that a lot. Meandery stuff.
Very jam band type stuff without being a pure jam band fan. Like
like stuff
music that is just jam bands like the Grateful Dead and stuff like that is like that exists for nobody. Like why would I listen to Fish, you know?
Right. Okay, so that means we are moving on to my number 9, I think we are. Yes. Okay.
Yes, I believe
so. This is a band that I think I tried to get you to listen to this album a couple of times, and I don't think you ever did. But I did a reaction.
Happens, yeah.
I did a reaction to an EP that they released last year, and I was like, if this band comes out with a full album next year, it's going to be fire. And they did, and it was, and it still is. Even though they've kind of fallen off the face of the earth. This is the band The Plague with their album The Divided States of Hysteria. And this was released through Fixed Entertainment, even though they're no longer associated with them, and you cannot go to Fixed Records or whatever and buy any of their product. Because I would really love to get a CD copy of this. I did not buy it when it first came out, and I don't know if I missed my window or what, but you can't buy this in CD format anymore, which is a big bummer. And Clayton generally just leaves stuff on the website if bands leave and stuff, so I don't know what happened. But the guy who is in this band, I actually talked to him briefly on Facebook last year because he posted some stuff about going through some issues, and then I posted my reaction to the album and talked in the reaction about being diagnosed with cancer and stuff. And he reached out to me on Facebook and was like, yo, dude, your story is really cool. Thank you so much for reacting to the album, to the EP, the songs that you did and all this stuff. And
for this band, or Clayton did?
No, me and the guy from this band.
Okay.
Not
that's cool,
Clayton.
though. That's really cool.
Sorry. Yeah. And this is just a band that's, I believe, one guy does all of it: drums, bass, vocals, guitar, everything. And he is a really cool dude. And so I don't know what happened that caused him to I don't know if there's bad blood or anything with Clayton or Fixed. I'm not that Clayton's the sole person at Fixed or anything like that, but if you don't know what we're talking about, Fixed record label is a record label Chris and I keep our eyes on, and it was started by Clayton, the guy from Cell Dweller and Scandroid and Circle of Dust and all that stuff. And we really enjoy a lot of the music that they release throughout the year. And this year I went through and tried, but this is the only Fixed album on my list this year. So the thing that I've tried to get you to listen to this album before, or to listen to this band before, I would always say that it sounds like Weird Al mixed with Cell Dweller.
Boy, that's a combo.
Yeah. Or Weird Al / Ludo. mixed with
Yeah, all right.
maybe more so Ludo.
Yeah.
Mixed
So
with,
it's probably the vocals then.
yes, yeah, because that's what I equate those two things with. Yes, so think maybe Ludo with like Cell Dweller-ish type stuff.
Okay.
This album is, he has 16,000 monthly listeners, which is pretty good for a guy that's really not trying too hard to promote anything at the moment, at least. This album is 10 tracks, 38 minutes, so it's pretty short, but it's still over 30 minutes. You know, it's close to 40 minutes, and the quality of this album is phenomenal from front to back, minus one song that it has a little less sheen to it, shininess to it.
Yeah.
But we are going to listen to the very first track. And this is the song that gets stuck in my head. This is a song that was on the EP that I reacted to last year. And I just can't get over how fantastic it is. And I think it would be probably your favorite song on the album, even though there's a lot of great songs. So the song we're going to listen to is called Headline, and this is from the Divided States of Hysteria by the band The Plague. It is my number 9 for the year. This is Headline. Really curious what you think of this, Chris.
Okay.
Very catchy.
Oh yeah.
And exploit the ones that
That's
follow.
very Andrew Volpe, absolutely.
Market then force feed and infect the ones that swallow. They start to move, they start to march in sync to the resentment fueled agenda. We spin and sensationalize to steal your soul and melt your mind.
Oh yeah, boy, oh boy.
We've got people to use, so we'll take a half truth and we'll make it a headline. You'll take the abuse and believe the fake news, 'cause we'll make it a headline. Make it a headline.
Right? Really good, crispy high frequencies. It's heavy.
Oh yeah.
The electronics are so well done. A lot of vocoder work, which is the part that reminds me of Cell Dweller and Clayton's work.
Destroy the innocence, destroy the youth as identity.
This whole album, Chris, is as good as
Yeah?
this song.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
I'm into this.
Oh.
Till you're conditioned to accept it. The station censor the conspiracies. And
Yeah, this is good.
victim brainwash.
Man, he sounds just like Andrew Volpe, dude.
I'm so glad you think that too, because I don't listen to
It's
Ludo
crazy.
that much. Yeah.
We've got people to use, so we'll take a half truth and we'll make it a headline.
I just sent it over to a friend of mine who I no idea if he likes heavy music, but he's a huge Volpe fan. I'm like, dude,
Cool.
God, listen to this guy.
I just haven't experienced them that much.
yeah. One of my big surprise albums of the year is very in line with this. So
Okay,
it'll be fun
good.
to-
I'm very excited. A band that rarely nowadays still uses bridges in songs.
Build the trust and heal the shame. Fill hearts with hope.
This is the most in line with my type of music that you like the least that you've ever liked.
It is surprising how much I like it, and I agree with that. And I think it's the quality of the songwriting. Honestly, it comes down to that. The quality of the recording, but then just it's super catchy. And the older I get, the more I apologize less for liking catchy music.
Oh yeah.
We've got people to
So,
Fantastic.
Yeah. So if anyone listening to this, watching this video liked that, please go listen to the entire album. It is so good. This has been on my list since the day it came out. I listened to this album and the Defect album on the same day, and this one blew me away. That album blew me away too. And I don't think you did. Chris, did you listen to that Defect album? Oh, man, I tried
was gonna
so
ask
hard.
Last year, you had an album
Yeah.
that had that Matthew McConaughey song in it, right?
Yeah.
Who was that?
Self-Deception.
Self-deception, yeah. This is the self-deception part of this video from last year. Like, yeah, that's good stuff.
Just we might have a couple more moments like that. I wonder but so good. But that Defect album, just real quick to mention it.
Yeah.
It was so poppy. It's so, and when I say poppy, I mean poppy like the artist Poppy. It's like if Poppy joined the band The Browning, because Browning is the guy that's in charge of it. So it's Poppy with The Browning. And I wish you would have listened to it, because I think it would have definitely been on your list. But it didn't make it on my list, so maybe I'm overhyping it. But you need to
another
listen to
Fixed
it.
album. Yeah.
Exactly, yes. Okay, on to your number 9.
Yes, number 9 is the Chevelle album, Bright as Blasphemy.
Okay, I was figuring that this would be on your list somewhere, but I didn't know where. And I'm glad that it's higher than the other album I'm waiting for you to get to eventually. That's the one that I liked a lot. If that doesn't tell you too much.
Or higher as in lower?
Sorry, lower. Higher up number-wise, but lower.
Yeah. Okay, good. I'm so curious to know what you're talking about. But
Yeah.
Yes. Not their strongest outing, as per our reaction we did earlier this year. Probably their second to worst. I don't know. They got a bunch of albums that are like in a brick with each other, and then there's one that's down here, and then this one's like here. You know.
Sure.
But yeah, I don't know how much needs to be said. Chevelle.
Yeah, you can
like
watch
I
our
said
reaction
just
to
now.
this. You
Yeah,
can watch
watch
our
the
reaction to
reaction.
this. I have not listened to the album since I edited the video, but I will say when I was editing the video, I do think I liked the album a little bit more than when we were just listening to it for the first time.
Nice.
But it wasn't enough to make me want to go back and listen to it again.
Yeah.
I will also say that over the course of the year, I think I've managed to find 2 or 3 Chevelle CDs that I bought used for like a nickel or something wherever I was looking. So
Cool.
I think now I have 4 Chevelle albums. Let's give this a listen, and I'll see if I remember it and if I like it more.
Okay. The song is called Wolves. I don't know if this is my favorite song off of this album. I just kind of skipped through them to try to remember what was what.
Sure. Very excited for us to start doing Tool in 2026.
Yeah, man.
That's right. This album had some compression issues, I think,
Yeah.
if I remember. But it did sound pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. This is the big, like, the previous song was a ballad, so now we're going to explode back in.
Yes.
I really do need to see them live. I bring that up every time, but it's still true.
Yeah.
Very Tool there.
I think this was my favorite song on the album when we were listening to it.
That's good.
I remember being very struck by his vocals throughout the entire album.
Yes.
Way different than I thought they were going to be. And I think this was the song that was the most like I expected them to kind of be. But also way heavier than I expected it to.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I don't want to keep bagging on, like, the album, because I'm just remembering the stuff that we didn't like about it. But I remember what we were like, once the song starts, after the first minute, like, every song was the exact same as the first minute. So between songs, they were different, but the songs never really changed much.
That's true. It's a great transition into the out of the vocals into the guitar.
Oh, yeah. I remember saying, like, I could play this song on the guitar.
Yeah. But that's all right.
I also, in the reaction, which I'm sure you didn't go back and watch, because why would you watch one when we've already done it? I did take that section of audio at the end and reverse it and show what he's saying there at the end.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah.
What is it? Anything interesting?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay.
But if anyone wants to know, they can go watch that video too. Anything else to say about that?
No, I mean, that's Chevelle. Like, I guess it is, no matter what they do, they will sound like Tool at some point. And I'm really looking forward to, I also am really looking forward to when we finally start doing Tool, just so that I can, I don't know how, you haven't listened to a whole lot of Chevelle, so I'm not sure if you'll make the connection, but it's wild how often Chevelle sounds like Tool, which is not a complaint.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and I just don't know any Tool really at all, so I think I have a completely weird and wrong impression of what they're going to be. So, yeah, very excited about that. We got a lot of exciting stuff coming up in 2026.
Big time.
Okay, so then we're on to my number 8, I believe, which is an album that I'm very excited. If you haven't heard this yet, you're going to be blown away. So let's just go ahead and listen to this and see if it sounds familiar to you. And then we'll discuss. So this is track 2 off of this album. And you'll find out what it is in a second. Everybody else, enjoy the ride. It says almost 9 million plays.
Oh. Hey, all right.
Did you listen to this album?
No.
The way I described this to try to get you to listen to it earlier this year was Bad Omens plus Breaking Benjamin.
Yes, I remember that description.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. Interesting. Du hast. Yep, I can totally get the Breaking Benjamin here big
Oh
time.
yeah.
That is such a perfect description of what this is. That is, what an interesting sound.
Yeah.
Like that, that's like it's something so sinister about it.
Dude, they have so many cool sounds across this album. You have got to listen to this.
This is great.
Yeah. And the quality of this.
Absolutely. That voice is so weird.
I know, right? They use it in 2 songs on this album. I've never heard anything like it. I don't know how they did it. Unless that guy can sound like that.
This is great.
I just don't know. It doesn't sound like pitch shifted vocals to me.
I agree. I think it might just be someone talking like that.
I think so. Which is badass.
Yeah, pretty cool. Man,
Oh, yeah.
whatever that is.
Yes.
That's so cool.
And then a great chorus.
Bad Omens plus Breaking Benjamin is the perfect description for this.
I'm glad you think so.
And maybe Cold while we're at it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so I'm so excited to talk. Okay, so first of all, I am a Starset fan. I discovered them shortly after the year after their 2 albums ago album came out. I think it was called Division. I think that album. But I remember hearing about them when they first came out, when their first album Transmissions came out. And I remember thinking, wow, this sounds just like Breaking Benjamin. It's really cool. There's a little like sci-fi vibe. And then I kind of forgot about them. And then when they got to their 2 albums after that, then Vessels came out, which is I didn't pay attention to. And then when Division came out, I was like, holy cow, this album is crazy because it's like that, except it's more electronic. Like that whole album as a whole, I would say is more of an electronic album than a heavy album. So this album is way heavier than that one, which was my favorite album of theirs until I heard this one. Then they released an album called Horizons, which I did not vibe with at all. I thought it was horrible. And so I was like, what the heck is going on with this band? And so they released this album, and I was like, yes, this is what I want this band to do. I was so surprised with how heavy it was. But there are several songs that have no guitars. So they're just like big electronic stuff, and it just works so perfectly. There's a cover of Head Over Heels by Tears for Fears. On this album, and this is a really interesting album because when I heard it, I had heard nothing of this, but apparently what this album is they had been over the last few years releasing singles. And so this is one of those cases where they put together all their singles for an album. And their record label didn't think that they had enough songs, so they made them write 2 new songs, which I think are the worst songs on this album. However, the more I listen to them, the more they've grown on me, and I do enjoy both of them. So the fun thing about this, I've had this piece of paper sitting on my table here for like months and months. And generally what I do is I have it tucked underneath my keyboard. You guys can't see, but I have a keyboard here and I have it tucked under my keyboard. And then when I move my keyboard around, I just kind of shove the paper around underneath it. Today, I lifted it out and I looked at it, and lo and behold, this is the piece of paper where I did my math for this album. So I was so happy when I found that because I was like, yay, I don't have to do this again. So this album is called Silos by the band Starset. This is the band that is the most popular band on my list by only a few 100,000 monthly listeners, but they have almost 3 million monthly listeners. This is a big band. This album is 16 tracks and it's 57 minutes long. However, 6 of the tracks are these weird little instrumental things that have no purpose. And I apologize to Starset fans. They're going to be like, oh, you don't get the art of it, whatever. And okay, so I enjoy that stuff too. But I had someone comment on my video when I did a reaction to this album that the band, that's when I found out the band was forced to write 2 extra songs, and then to pad the album out, they made these instrumental songs, which one of the things that I liked so much about their Divisions album was they had stuff like this, but it was at the end of tracks. So there would be like a 4-minute long song and then a 30 to 45 second long cool sci-fi thing with some narration and stuff over it, telling like a story and stuff. And I was like, this is really cool. Power Man, very Cell Dweller-y as well.
Yeah.
And so on this album, there's 6 instrumental tracks that basically serve no function. None of them go into the next song. They all just start. They're cool for what they are. They're really high quality. There's choral stuff and everything in it. It's neat, but there's no narration over it. There's no story that goes with it that I can tell. And then every one of them ends, and then the next song starts. And so the total amount of those songs is 13 minutes of this 57-minute album. So
Empty Nonsense?
Of Empty Nonsense. So
is this a Tool album?
Yes, right. So well, I can't say to that because I don't know anything about it. So but the actual runtime of this, just the music on this album, is 43 minutes. So that's still a respectable time. And I want to burn a copy of this CD for myself that doesn't have those. And again, I want to be careful with what I say because I do like stuff like this, like intermission tracks and things. I like that, but I want them to have a purpose. And I feel like there's no purpose. And the songs on this album are so fire. They are so fantastic across the board. Every one of them is unique and really well done and catchy, and the electronics are phenomenal. And I had a hard time choosing which song to pick. And so what I ended up doing with all my songs, I tried to pick songs that represented the album as a whole, right? Rather than just like my favorite song or something like that. Because I want people who are watching this that maybe don't know who Starset is, that's what they sound like, but they also they have an incredibly varied a variety of stuff across their albums. But such a good album, really high quality in every way imaginable, but these 13 minutes of 6 tracks that are just kind of superfluous, that brings it down to me. This album was my number 1 album for a while after I'd heard it. And it just, other great stuff came out throughout the year. I didn't think it was going to be my number 1, but when I heard it, when I did the reaction to this, it was my number 1, and it stayed that way for a while. So
wow, it's crazy that it was number 1 for a while and then landed at number 8.
Well, I want to talk about that again in a second, but I want you to do your number 8 first, and then when I get to my number 7, I have a bit of a thing I want to talk about.
Okay, so number 8, something you're not at all familiar with, fortunately, is a band called Caskets.
Okay.
And their album, it's a long title.
There's no way this can't be metal with a band called Caskets.
Yeah.
It's going to be some dumb electronic thing, isn't it? Not that electronic music is dumb. I'm not saying
the album's called The Only Heaven You'll Know. It's 11 songs, 41 minutes, so nice and proper.
Yep. And
this is a band, it's interesting. My ex-girlfriend, actually, there would be so often where we would be driving somewhere and some band from the previous Caskets album would come on, and I'd be like, man. And the overwhelming majority of music that she listened to was stuff that I had introduced her to, especially this genre.
Sure.
And so I was like, what is this? How come I don't know what this is? Every time I hear this, whoever this is, it's fantastic. She's like, it's Caskets. And eventually I was like, this must be Caskets because I don't recognize this and it's fantastic.
Sure.
And sure enough. And so they put it on an album this year. And I will say I've only gone through it once and it was recently, but it's good. It's, it's.
Does it live up to
right.
what you expected?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay,
as far as I can
good.
tell at this point.
Good.
But yeah, this is very much in the vein of like the stuff that, like the Purge or the Plague or whatever that
Plague.
you
The Plague. Yep.
Yeah, and plenty of other things that I've got on my list and things that I like that generally don't vibe with you. But now that you are of the greater filth, people who like this kind of music, let's see how you feel about this.
Yeah, I'm curious.
This is a band. This is an album called, or this is a song called Closure.
Okay. Synths right away. Gotta love it.
Better believe it.
Let's go. What a sweet band name, Caskets.
Right?
Okay.
Oddly similar to another band I've got later on.
Okay. Tombstones.
I got you.
Take everything for yourself as I'm bleeding to go. You never ever made me wanna feel at all. No. Wait, won't you show me it all? I wonder whether we're both to blame. Won't you stop this at all before it gets too
Odd little time signature there.
Oh, yeah.
That nice noodly guitar on the left.
Yep. Synths are gone. For now. Yeah, there's some synth pad stuff. How many followers does this band have?
Oh, yes. 1.1 million.
Oh,
monthly.
okay. Wow. Good for them.
Yeah.
I like this chorus. I just had a thought.
Uh-oh.
I just had a thought.
If it's a thought that's going to ruin a band I like.
No, this hadn't even occurred to me because I don't care about this album so little. But I'm just going to say, and I'm not even going to look at you as I say this, because I don't want you to give anything away. If you have the new Demon Hunter album on your list, we are going to have a fight. So, I'm not going to say anything else, but I'm anxious to see if that comes to pass. Now back to this. Yes, synth stuff back a little.
You may have missed the synth solo that happened while you were talking.
Sorry.
That's all right.
So they didn't go to the chorus a third time.
They did not.
Interesting. Okay. So when that started, I just want to say they kind of did something that bothers me a little bit with music like this. And then they didn't do it as much. But I don't like it when a band has really cool electronics in it at the beginning of the song. And then once the band comes in, the electronics are gone. Because they hit play on their laptop on the stage. And then once the song gets to when they get to play their music, that part's over. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's their lead in.
Yeah, and a lot of bands do that nowadays. And a lot of bands that I love do that. In Flames has done that for years. Mm-hmm. You know, but they make up for it in other ways. But like this band, I liked the chorus. There were more keyboards and stuff in the song than as it went on, but I was afraid, like, oh no, I hope this isn't one of those bands that does that, because anymore nowadays you should just have a guy that does the electronic stuff in your band. You know, you should. Even if he does just sit there live and hit play on the laptop, like hopefully he created that stuff. So, you know, but a lot of the times it's just one guy that does all that kind of stuff in the band, and that's also the guy that plays guitar or sings or something, you know, so they don't really. But anyway, sorry. Yeah, I did not hate that at all.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I don't think it was like super awesome. Like it didn't blow me away, but I did like the chorus, you know, and I didn't dislike any part of it at all. So, yeah.
That's nice. And I will say that when you listen to stuff with different people and you know about the things that they like and don't like about certain types of music, you start to like, oh, I wonder if they're going to comment on blank, or you hear a thing for the first time. And I'm always wary of like, are you going to think that this vocalist sounds too whiny? And then I was thinking about, I was like, he's not really way up there in the register.
No. And when he first started singing, he did something at the end of one of his phrases, and I was like, oh, that very much reminded me of something specific. And I never got to what it was. My brain didn't connect the neurons.
One thing I thought while listening to this actually was when we heard Concrete Jungle.
Yeah.
We said, this is going to change how this type of music sounds. And boy, if it hasn't.
Yeah.
Like, so much of this stuff that we've heard in the last couple of years is a direct result of that Bad Omens album, I am certain.
Yep.
I've never heard anybody talk about how that's the case, but that is a definingly excellent album. And this stuff all is like, you can hear it now.
Just to clarify, because I don't want people to get mad at you, not that they would. The album we were talking about is The Death of Peace of Mind by Bad Omens. The song Concrete Jungle is on there. And then we did a reaction the following year to their Concrete Jungle album, which is their like remixes and stuff.
Yeah, the OST to something that doesn't exist.
With Poppy and stuff on there. Yeah.
My fault.
Just to clarify though, but you're absolutely right. And nowadays people lump them in with like Sleep Token and Ghost and stuff. And I just think that is doing a disservice to Bad Omens.
I agree. I mean, that first Sleep Token took the world by storm, and I don't necessarily know why.
I know why, because it's not metal, but that's the whole thing. But is it metal? But it's not metal.
It's unique, but it just, I don't know. It wasn't for me, I guess, as much as everybody else.
For sure. And you know, it's really interesting because this year, stuff that got popular makes more sense. Whereas last year, stuff like Lorna Shore getting so outrageously popular when it's like some of the heaviest stuff imaginable.
That was weird, yeah.
And then also same thing with, what was that band that Poppy won a Grammy for this year with them? Or they were nominated for a Grammy. Knocked Loose. Huge album last year, big band. They played on Jimmy Kimmel and all this stuff. It was a big deal. No idea
who that is. Wow.
Yeah, it was a big deal at the time, and Poppy did a song with them, and then that's the song that they performed on Jimmy Kimmel, and that's what got them nominated for a Grammy this year, which is when Courtney from Spirit Box went there, and they thought that she was Poppy, and she pretended to be Poppy.
Oh, yes.
This has been a great year, you guys. In some ways, in other ways, not the best. But yeah, so interesting. Okay, so now we're moving on to something, and this is right before we started this, Chris, I had a revelation.
Yeah.
And this screws up the way we're doing these videos, screws up my intention with this, because I really wanted to talk about my number 7 and number 6 albums together. And I was going to, when we were recording, this whole time I've just been thinking of us doing this video as one whole long video, and I'm glad we're cutting it up. But I don't know what to do now. So should I talk about this, or should we just go to your number 7 and then we can start the next video with me going through my number 7 and my number 6?
Let's do that second one. I do have a little bit less time.
Okay.
Like my time's a little limited, so
that's fine. That's fine. And we already pissed around enough in this video. So let's just go to your number 7, and then we'll start the next one with my big conversation about what this year kind of what has been to me. So
Okay. Then for me, number 7 is the other Inertia that came out this year by Grandson.
Oh, I see. I forgot about that guy, and it's a band a guy you bring up often. So.
And, which is weird because Grandson is sort of like circling a bunch of things, people that I know or bands that I like, but
Sure.
I haven't listened to Grandson a ton. And this album, I don't know how it compares to previous Grandson albums in a specific way, but this is very, I feel like he's bringing back what Rage Against the Machine left behind that no one is really picking up.
Okay.
In terms of both like musical style and also like lyrical content. And it's interesting. And because I feel like maybe he's been kind of bouncing around in genre in the last couple of albums, but like I said, it's been super limited in terms of my exposure. So maybe this is overwhelmingly what he sounds like.
Okay.
But yeah, this is,
I'll see if it sounds like what I think of him sounding like too, because I have an idea in my mind of what it would sound like. So
yeah.
Okay, that's curious.
Yeah. So this is Self-Immolation.
Okay. And how many followers does he have? I imagine it's a lot.
Yes, I believe it's all. I was alerted to his presence by someone who had youth. So
This is Korn right now.
This is Korn. Yeah, 3.8 million
Okay.
monthly. Yeah, this is very Korn. 21 Pilots as well. Vocally,
I was gonna say this guy
suppose.
sounds just like the dude from 21 Pilots.
Yes.
Whoa! Yeah! Dude, this is awesome!
Yeah, man.
That, like, low bass. This is running along that, like, Royal Pains, or Royal
Blood.
Port Noir.
Yeah, 1979.
Yes. Dude, this is awesome! Is the whole album like this?
Yeah, as far as I can tell.
Dude, let's go!
I feel like the vocals are a little low in the mix.
Yeah, the guitars are loud.
Yeah. But it's really centralized, so it's not lost.
Yeah. It's definitely very compressed. Like the drums are getting washed away and lowered and buried underneath the guitars and stuff here.
Yeah.
The kick and the snare, at least. Man, this does remind me of something. Probably 21 Pilots.
Yeah, it is.
Oh,
It's
that's
like
it. That's all it was.
Pilots.
I didn't
The little guy.
expect that. Wow. Dude, that was great. I liked that a lot.
I was surprised. Yeah, it jumped in like it just came out. Like I added this to my thing 3 weeks ago,
Sweet.
and usually it says December 5th. So
Yep.
if we'd done this recording any earlier, we would have probably missed this one.
Yeah.
But
wow.
yeah, fun surprise.
Yeah, that's great. That's of everything we've heard that you've showed me that I haven't heard yet. Which has only been a couple things, but that's the thing that I'm very curious. I'm curious to see if anything else you have on your list is more exciting to me than that. That's like, give that a listen. So, okay. Well, then in that case, we can end this part here, everybody. Thank you so much for checking this out. We are going to record the second part on the next day. I'll release both parts on the same day, but we're going to record the next part, I think, tomorrow. And I'm very much looking forward to that, Chris. We are going to
that's where the fun starts, is getting into the top 5.
Yes. And for me specifically this year, the top 7. So we are going to... Wait, do we do your 6 this...
We did not do my 6.
No, but that we don't normally. We do 12, 11, 10,
Right.
9, 8, 7, and then 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I just wanted to make sure. I was like thinking for a second. I was like, I was off on my thinking. So that's totally fine. Okay. Well, then we don't need to extend the end of this any more than it needs to be. We had a long intro, and I don't know what I'll cut. We'll see what happens. But thank you, everybody, for watching, and we will see you all in the next part of this. So definitely go check that out. It'll be out when this comes out. Also, check out our Discord. We didn't mention that at the beginning. Check out our Discord because we have lots of fun stuff going on there. Just go check it out. It's really awesome. If you use Discord, there's no reason you shouldn't watch any of our videos and then come join our page because...
Yeah. What's one more server to lurk in?
Yeah, and we have a lot of great people there, and we don't post millions of things all the time every day. It's still pretty small, so you won't get overwhelmed with, obviously, notifications or anything like that, so don't worry about it. And, yeah, we've got lots of fun stuff coming up, and you might learn about it early there. So, Thank you, everybody. We will see you in part 2 of our top 12 albums of 2025.